Welcome back, everybody, to We Are TPM with myself, Kyle Teixeira. I believe this is John Teixeira sitting next to me.
Yep, it is
someone else's body. This week, we are talking about those flipping costs. If you want to know about those flipping costs or anything we talk about today or want to talk to us, see our smiling faces, give us a call, 817-818-9039. Shoot us an email at showmethemoney at wearetpm.com. Come check us out in downtown Mansfield, Texas, DFW, or just continue to listen to us on here. So what are we talking about today, John? What are those flipping costs we were talking about?
You like those flipping costs, huh? That made you laugh,
costs.
Huh? You like, that's funny. So first of all, if I had the ability to be John Teixeira in somebody else's body, I would definitely pick a different body than this one. Okay?
I think it was the other way around. I think it was somebody else.
Okay.
Given your actions previous to this podcast start.
What are those flipping costs? So we're kind of talking about, like, a lot of people, we're getting back into the a market where creative financing, more traditional flipping and investing is going to start happening. Investors with the ability to take advantage of opportunity should be looking for that opportunity, and we should be entering a season for them to take advantage, right? And to get back into the game and be profitable again. And I say that because we're coming out of a season where it was hard to make money in using this specific mechanism, flipping houses. Buying something and then reselling it was a lot harder coming out of the season we've been in than it will be in the season we're going into.
Yeah, because as markets change, flipping is, we've talked a lot about creative financing and all these different things and the market changing, but flipping comes more back into play, or people are always flipping, right? Let's get that straight. In any market, people are flipping houses.
Somebody's flipping.
They get more common in these situations where you can't just throw up a box and sell it, right? You without fixing it up. So people start selling houses for the discount and the condition that they're actually in, right? And cash is king right now. Cash is king. Financing's hard to get. So if you're going to spend, the people who are shopping and taking out loans, they want houses that are fully ready, right? Because it's not just more expensive to buy a house through conventional financing. If you got to fix it up and borrow money for that, it's more expensive to get those costs covered too. Mm-hmm. So it's all about the financial markets in comparison to the real estate. And
the reality is, to your point, everybody wants to do it, right? Partly thanks to HGTV and all the other channels that show us how glamorous it is to flip in Hollywood, right?
Well, and I think what we're doing here, those flipping costs, we're jumping into the actual cost and making it less glam and more reality, right? Because what do they show you at the end of the HGTV? We got this house for $200,000 and we put $80,000 into it and we sold it for $300,000, and that's a $20,000 profit. You and me see that, we're like, you lost money for sure. If that was your cushion, $20,000 right there. So and we're going to explain why.
Yeah, and so we are going to get into it. But to be fair, I have seen some of these TV shows that do dive into some of the things we're going to talk about a little bit more, and they're a little bit more realistic. Mm-hmm. But having said that, what you need to recognize is when you're watching these shows, almost all of them are either on the West Coast or in the northeast corridor of the country. That's where flipping during certain seasons is done for these TV shows, because the numbers are so astronomical, right? Like you can buy something for $200, sell it for $450, put $150 into it, and walk away with $100,000. I don't think I did that math exactly right, but you see my point.
I'm not going to comment on that one.
But the point is that there's only a couple places you can do it. Sometimes in Florida and South Florida, but there's only 2 or 3 spots in our country where you've been able to do that at certain times.
I think that's more where they've made it more glamorous, like the whole Well, because
and then there's Waco.
I was gonna say that one of the most popular shows that there's been is I forget the name of it, the husband
Magnolia.
and wife. Yeah, but it's in Waco. We could go. Waco's 30 minutes south of us.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, Waco is a $150,000 to $200,000 median price, right? So it's not like you're right about that. But here's the thing: for every one of those that you see on TV, how many are there that don't look anything like that, right? So like, if you're doing 100 of these a year, and you're putting 15 of them on TV every year, so the top 15, right? The top 15 winners are what you're going to show on TV.
Yeah, they don't show the losers. I mean, some do. But I think what the most our primary goal here and the most important thing about this, I guess, this topic is making sure that the people who want to get into flipping or maybe don't understand all the aspects of flipping, because to have a success in like your first couple flips are huge, right? Even your first one, because if you fail on your first one, you could fail big and then you're never doing it again. And then if you succeed, you could give you capital to grow it and do more, right? So honestly, if we're going to get into why, but most people I talk to lose money on their first flip. So the bar is just, if you break even on your first flip, maybe you did good.
And here's the thing: everybody who's ever walked into a Home Depot thinks they can do it.
Oh yeah,
right.
Because there's a lot of factors here, and that's what we're going to get into, right?
Yep.
It's not just money. It's not just sales price. It's time.
So let's get right into the costs of it and like skip over the price of it. Let's make up a purchase price. We negotiated something, and we're buying it for $200,000. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
$200,000. That's our number.
And we're hoping after we renovate it, what are we going to sell it for? $320?
Sure.
Sound good?
Sound good to me.
All right. So what is in between?
So our acquisition cost is $200,000, and our expected ARV is $320,000.
What's ARV stand for?
After repaired value.
Nice.
So, or what we expect it to appraise after repairs.
So, by the way, that is the number that investors use. That is the number that hard money lenders use when they're talking about the amount that they will lend. They're referring to ARV always. So 70%, 75% of ARV, 80%, whatever that is, that's what they mean is that after repaired value. What will it be worth after we're done?
Okay, so we got a target property, right? Do we determine repairs first? Do we figure out how we get the $200,000 first?
So let's skip to closing. How's that? Let's close on this property. It's $200,000. What is this thing going to cost us? At $200,000, what is it really costing us? Because most of the deals,
you mean purchasing it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
At the closing table when we're purchasing. Because most of the deals we've done, well, I shouldn't say that. They can happen a lot of different ways.
Don't let me stop you too soon. But I think we should throw repairs in here first, so we know what our gap is. We can show people how quickly it gets eaten away.
I was just going to go with the timeline and start with
never mind.
Step one. I mean, I don't know.
Kyle,
Step
shut
one,
up. John, continue.
Step one is we're closing on a $200,000 house. We haven't even started repairs.
All right, let's get it.
There's some closing costs involved in that for the buyer. So those closing costs could be as little as, I don't know, they could be as little as $3,000, $4,000. They could be as much as $8,000 to $10,000, depending on how you negotiated your deal. We've done wholesale deals where, as the buyer, we had to pay all of the closing costs, right? But sometimes I may be buying Steve's house. He's got a little junker he wants to get rid of, and maybe I negotiate better with Steve than I do a wholesaler, right? And maybe I get him to pay all my closing costs. So it's just really kind of depends on how you negotiate it. But the point is, you are going to have some closing costs that you need to figure in to the purchase of that property. So your $200,000 house is actually going to cost you $205,000, $210,000.
$205,000, $210,000. Let's call it $210,000. Okay. We're up to $210,000. Now that's assuming you got cash. That's assuming your $200,000 cash, right?
Yep.
another common is hard money, right? And we're only going to talk about these two options because this is most of it, right? You're not buying a house that needs this much of repairs with conventional financing.
Yep.
So hard money lender, right? This is kind of like paying the seller with cash but having a mortgage on it, right? That's high interest. They take points up front most of the time. It's usually 1 or 2 points. So
2 to 4.
2 to 4 right now,
2 to 4
actually.
points.
So let's
Yep.
call, what 2 points on $200,000 would be 4,000.
Yep.
4 points. Let's stick with 4 points. It's another 8,000. You're now, before anything's happened, say they're lending you all this money. That's $8,000 to your hard money lender just for originating that money, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that on top of that, you usually have like $1,000, add another 1,000 for legal costs of that loan, right? Call this your lender's closing cost. But
We haven't even got the keys and haven't even got through day one yet, and we're already up $18,000 cut into our quote unquote profit.
Yep, this is correct.
This is, and what I want to point out is as we go through this is such a great exercise, Kyle. As we go through this is our point, right? Is how quickly all these things that you don't think about cut into.
That is what we were talking about. Yes. And I want to say that we're not only making this realistic, these numbers, this 18,000 just came in direct proportion of a deal we just did. So like these are
this is pretty close to something we just did.
Almost exactly.
Yep.
We probably should have used the sales price that we had, but whatever. These are almost exactly in proportion to our sales price, what you would pay. So the 1,000 is pretty steady. That's kind of the call it. Most hard money lenders are private money guys. So that $1,000 was like them paying a lawyer to wrap this all up into a contract and do all that stuff, right? Because they don't have a lending house and underwriters and all that stuff. They're just usually just a guy with money that needs to pay the lawyer. So. Let's get into going past it, right? So,
no, we're dying to get into the fun stuff, right? But isn't there some stuff to do before the fun stuff? We've got our financing in place, right? But we need insurance.
Yep.
We need to set up utilities. Utilities usually require a deposit, right? On each one.
No, that's. Let's not. We don't have deposits on them, so let's ignore the utility deposits. But insurance is big because when you're doing this is an insurance policy with a vacancy clause.
Builder's clause. Yep.
Vacancy clause is what they call it. But either way, vacancy clause makes it call it twice as expensive as what you'd expect, right? So this $200,000 property, this insurance policy that I'm sure this hard money lender is going to force us to pay out all at once is going to cost about $5,000 to $6,000 on a $200,000 property. Let's call it $5,000 just to keep it clean. So $5,000 up front. This is, I'll say that say you sell this property after 6 months, you'll probably get a refund for half of that. But we're not betting on that right now. This is
that's an annual.
So that's annual, correct. But you got to pay it up front.
Builder's risk policy is what it's called. I just remembered. And you're right. And they take a little bit more risk because they know you're going to be working on it. And what they do is while it's high, like you said, when you're done working on it, if you were to keep it as a rental, then it would turn into a rental policy, which would be a little bit more economical than a builder's risk policy. But they know you're working on it. They know you're flipping it, and you've got to cover it appropriately because, if it burns down while you're working on it, you may not be covered under a normal policy. You would be under this policy. Right?
Okay. So we're going
to get into the fun stuff now?
Yeah. So we have the keys. We're ready to go, right? We got the keys. We're
going to go to Home Depot and we're going to grab a couple carts. And
so Steve's helping us out with the math here. This is, I like it. We started with $200,000 purchase cost, right? Our expected ARV is 320. That leaves us 96,000 in between for as our
that's what we have left as
difference right now.
Difference. Okay. All right.
That's our cushion right now, 96, right?
That's what we're going to watch dwindle.
If we could go put it on the market tomorrow for 320, we could make 96, right?
That's right.
No, that's not right. We're going to get into that why later.
That's right. If we can do that and not have any other costs.
Yeah. Which is what we're going to get into after this. So next is we got to repair this, right? You should have never buy a property without this number. This number should have been known or estimated prior to the purchase, right? But let's call this 60. We're going to do 50,000 in repairs. Let's start with 50,000 in repairs.
50 sounds like a you know what? I got to say,
well, and
things have gotten so crazy.
Construction costs, materials, they're varying to a rate that my GC right now is going to Home Depot the same day he's writing up his estimates. He told me that the other day because he was like, they're changing that quickly that for these big renovations, I just go there. He's like, because they change week to week, these material costs right now because they're 3x what they used to be. So if you're listening to this and you flipped something 5 years ago, don't go do the same estimates based on what you used to do, right? Or like, oh, look at this house, this would be 50. It might turn into 100 for you or more. So, and $50,000 in at least where we're at, that's not a huge renovation. That's probably mostly cosmetic things. Maybe a little more, but it's not huge, or it's not a huge house. We just did a big renovation on a small house that was about that amount. Yeah.
Right. A little bit more than that. But I got to tell you, I'm sitting here thinking about like when I started flipping in 2006, right? 2007 here in Texas. And we used to spend $10,000 to $12,000 on each one of these flips, like almost religiously on every flip.
If I could do that today, I'd be flipping everything I could see,
That was repair costs.
Well, and let's call a spade. Labor is expensive now. It is in those construction costs. Labor is a big piece of what has gotten more expensive on top of the materials. So you make every piece of the construction go up, then the costs go up. Yeah. So we're at $50,000 for repairs. Okay, so
we're down to 46 is our potential profit now.
46 is our cushion at the moment. Okay.
So that's what we're going home with. We're going home with 46 grand?
46 grand. That's what you're thinking, right? So let's continue this exercise.
Let's go.
50,000 in repairs, right? So
big payday.
Oh yeah. We're checking on the property every couple of days. We're talking to our contractor, making decisions, blah, 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 blah. Needs a little bit extra drainage work, needs a little bit extra roof work. We were wrong on something. The fence is 50 feet longer than we
That 50 grand is always going to become 60, isn't it?
It's going to become 60.
That doesn't matter 70. What you budget. You always blow the budget every time. I even conservatively take my budget and add to it because I know I'm going to blow it, and then you still blow the budget.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to overestimate your repairs because you should do that always. And sometimes you get lucky. A lot of these, you watch some of the shows, sometimes they overestimate and they're like, well, that AC system we thought we needed to replace ended up being fine, or whatever. Those are the good situations, or there's times where they don't be fine. Mm-hmm. Know your risks. Okay, so we got $10,000 in over budget repairs, so it's done, right?
Now we're down to 30. No, it's not done.
It's not done.
No, we have to market it and sell it.
No, so yeah.
Oh, it's done. It's finished. And it's ready to be marketed and sold. Okay, yes.
So what are we going to do? We're going to hire a real estate agent?
Yep.
All right.
We're going to hire a real estate agent.
Or pay for professional photography, and
we might stage it, maybe.
Might have to stage it. Let's just call it $1,000 in preparation costs, right? Let's just call it pictures.
That's conservative.
Yeah. And maybe some staging.
Okay.
Some closeout. Okay, so
we haven't paid a real estate agent yet, but we'll do that at the end, right? So
we're looking for a buyer. So let's do some timeline here. So we're going to assume it took us 90 days, right? Why are we going to do that?
Because there's a 91-day flip rule, and most people buying homes in this price range are using FHA, and FHA will not allow us to get under contract in less than 91 days after buying a property.
Okay.
Did I summarize that pretty well for you?
You did.
All right.
You did. So 3 months, right? That's 3 months of utilities while you're renovating a home, which generally makes your electricity bill go up because there's usually a wall missing. The insulation of this house is generally not at its peak while you're in mid renovations. Probably doors open and your AC cranking, or if those things aren't happening, your contractors are dying and charging you more for not having AC, right? So utilities, let's call that $500.
You're calling it 3 months, but you got 3 months before you can really get it under contract. You're looking at 4.5 months of holding.
Is it 4 months? All right, let's go with 4 months. Let's call utilities, water. We're not going to include trash in here or all the dumpsters that they need, right? That's part of the repairs.
That's part of the repairs.
Let's say $500 a month, right? Sounds fair.
Yes.
$500 a month. That's $2,000 for 4 months. Oh, how did we buy this house again?
We used a loan.
We used a hard money lender.
Hard money loan.
Which in today's environment is about 18% interest rates. No?
12%.
12%? All right, let's do that math. $200,000 at 12% is $2,000 a month. So it is 18%.
And that's interest only too. So
we're gonna leave conservative here. So you're likely on an interest only. So $2,000 per month, Steve. So what do we got?
That's $8,000.
$8,000 in holding costs for the interest that you were paying to the hard money lender. Okay.
Do we have any money left?
Do we have any money left? We're seeing how the holes are dug.
Sell this.
Yeah. So
what if we do? We sell it. Then we find a buyer. Oh, hey, what just happened to us on our most recent flip? We found a buyer. They went and did their inspection, and next thing you know, we're doing more repairs.
Requested repairs, right? Let's be nice to the people in the back. And
how about repairs? How about potential, depending on the market you're in and the economy that you're in, potentially paying for some closing costs? Right now, we haven't get into this yet, but we had a bond market bust yesterday. Houses could be.
Stick to the topic here.
It could be a buyer's market. No, my point is it could be a buyer's market coming up, and sellers could be paying more closing costs in the future.
But say we're in an even market. Let's say even market. In general, it's normal for the seller to pay the title policy, right? If you're in a pretty standard, no push either way. Yep. Say the seller pays title policy
$3,000.
They're not paying any of the closing costs for the buyer. That's $3,000. Let's call it $3,000 in closing costs, right?
Probably paying for a survey also. That would also be customary to pay for a survey, which is another $400.
Mm-hmm. And you could be paying for a home warranty. So just make that $1,000, Steve. Yep. Let's call that $1,000.
Survey and home warranty.
Let's call that $1,000. That's a good idea. And then wait, who found this buyer? How'd the buyer find the house?
They had a buyer's agent.
Good old agents, right? Real estate agents. And let's just call it 6%. Let's be conservative and call it 5% because in an investment deal, maybe you only got to pay the real estate agents 5%, right?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So what do we got? We're going to do 6%. Make this. I don't know why I said that.
6% is more realistic.
19,200.
I can't see our number. Do we have any money left?
Just hold on. We're getting there. So we just paid the agents $1,900 or $19,200, right? Who else we got to pay back?
The lender.
The lender, right? So Steve's going with cushions, right? So he got paid back at closing. He got his $200,000 back at closing.
Yeah.
You're done with all that.
We're done with him. I don't. Yeah, no, and so there are. I mean, this is enough. We just spent it all, right? There's no profit for us. Am I right?
What do we got left? We got profit. They're cushioned. It is $1,800. Is that
our profit, or are we out of pocket $1,800? It says negative.
That's our profit.
That's our profit. Okay.
Assuming Steve did this all correctly. We bought the house for $200,000, ended up costing an extra $10,000 in general closing costs, another $8,000 in interest points to the lender, $1,000 in legal fees, $5,000 in builder risk insurance policies, $50,000 in repair, $10,000 of that went over budget, so we're at $60,000. $1,000 in prep and staging, $2,000 in utilities, and I forget what else we threw in there. But it was accurate when we said it. $8,000 in interest payments to your lender while you're in the process of flipping it. $3,000 in closing costs, $1,000 in survey and warranty, and then paying out the buyer's agents $19,200.
So we made this up, but I gotta say, I'm looking at these numbers, and while we made this up, and look what happened, we ended up with no money. And I bet you at the beginning, everyone would have thought, "Wow, this is going to be a winner," right? And people make decisions when they're buying homes based on the numbers that we talked about in the very beginning, and that's it. And they don't have all this experience.
In this example, it would have been all right, I can get this for $200,000, I can sell it for $60,000. Maybe they attributed the real estate of 19.2 into there, right?
Well, hopefully they do. But as I look at these numbers, Kyle, the only number that I see that is variable for the most part is the repair number. So depending on the house and depending on what repairs you end up doing will depend on how much that repair number is. It could be a lot less. It could be a lot more, right? Mm-hmm. But all those other numbers are going to be there in every deal. Now, we paid $8,000 to... Let's pay cash. Let's say we paid cash and we don't have a hard money lender.
I just did the math on that too. So we're taking out $16,000.
So now we've got $10,000 left.
No, it's 16. So it was 8 of the points and another 8 of the interest payments over that 4 months.
So 16. So now we're up to 20, almost 20, just under 20, $200 shy of 20 grand.
17.8. 17.8.
So,
but you take that into your 200,000, even if that was your profit off that 200,000, that's a 8.9% return over 4 months, right? But that doesn't include the sweat equity. That doesn't include all the time you spent, and it doesn't include the risk, right? Those things could have gone wrong. If you were $20,000 over budget, you could have made more money on that 200,000 sitting somewhere,
Well, I want to point something out because the obvious is right here. And this is the reason why I stopped flipping so much when I did. Okay. Look at what the agent made.
19.2.
So if I can sell a house for 19.2 and not have all this headache and stress, why wouldn't I just do that all day long instead of going out and spending 4 months of putting my family's finances on the line and worrying about how to renovate a house and deal with contractors and then find a buyer and close? All the headaches that go with it are worth it if I'm making a lot more than 20 grand.
Let's look at these numbers too, because the hard money lender made $16,000, right? They made $16,000 in those repairs. Is $60,000 in repairs. Let's say the contractor made 10%. He made $6,000. Everyone, the agents made
making money except for the guy who's doing it.
Well, yeah. But this is why analyzing a deal is so important. Because if this ARV was $400,000, this whole thing changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now
100%.
You made 81.8, right? It all seems worth it.
But the repairs are probably not 60; they're probably more like 100 now, right?
Yeah, but then you still, the rest of this can stay pretty stagnant for the most part. But it's and we're not here to push anyone in one direction or the other. We're just here to be realistic about these numbers because we just came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's a realistic
7,
scenario.
8, 9, 10,
that 11, I've lived through.
11 financial factors that were involved in this deal, and most people look at
and we probably forgot some.
I think we covered bases pretty well, but yeah, you always forget some, right? Or you don't know about all of them. What happens when I buy the house and it's got locks on the utilities, and now I got some cities make you pay the back bills for whoever owned it before to get those locks off. There could be a lot of things that happen. And this is assuming clear title. This is assuming you didn't buy it, having to pay off any tax liens.
That's those flipping costs.
Those flipping costs. So, I hope this was helpful. These are the realities of flips we've done that make it, eye-opening to us, right? You have to pay attention to all these things. You need good cushions, and there's a reason. So, and it helps in negotiating too. If you think you got a good deal, or you're trying to go find these deals, and the seller's like, well, this is 50 to 60 grand in repairs. And you're like, you're right. It's 50 to 60 grand in repairs. But that's only one of 11 factors.
Hey, you know what? You got to tell people, you got to ask yourself, what do you want to make at the end? What does this effort worth to you? Right?
Yeah.
If you're substituting a job, or if you're doing this on the weekends, it's different, isn't it? What is all this headache worth to you? What is the reward that you want at the end? And then you've got to figure all this in with your profit and work the numbers backwards. And if you can't get to that purchase price, do not talk yourself into that deal because it looks like a good deal because there's $120,000 worth of gross profit there. As you can see, there's not $120,000 in gross profit there when you're done. So don't get yourself to the end frustrated with $1,800.
Yep. Because
because nobody wants to work for 4 months for $1,800. I don't. That would make me mad.
I just did the math on it. How many hours a week do you think you put into this?
Well, okay, so that's a good question. That's different too. So a newer flipper that didn't have a lot of experience would spend a lot of time on these flips.
Yep.
They would be out there all the time. They would be investing themselves. They would be worried about everything, getting into all the details. A more experienced flipper like me,
just hires a GC.
I barely go out there twice a week. I'm like, I don't, you know what to do. I've got people I trust that I hire. They know what to do. And when they need a decision made, they know to call me.
And this is why so many people that flip, especially that flip as a primary business, also have real estate licenses and don't practice real estate. They just use it for themselves because that 19.2 gets cut in half,
Yep.
or even less, especially if you have other clients sell it to. And some people sell it themselves, but we're talking about reality here. This is how most flips are done. Most of the time, yeah, you pay agents 19.2, but there's arguments to be made that you would, if you try to go do it yourself, you're only going to get 300.
You're not going to get as much.
Yeah,
Yep.
You're not going to get the 320. So why do it yourself?
Plenty of data to prove that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, Kyle. This looks as I look at this list, this looks like a extremely realistic thing that people need to. This is the way people need to evaluate if they're going to do it.
It's just like you look at the list, you're just like, man. Those flipping costs.
There's so many flipping costs.
There's a lot. But there's money to be made. Just make sure to know, because what we just described is how people get so in the hole, right? Because what if you're $60,000 in repairs? What if you left yourself a $70,000 cushion? Because what did we start with? We started with $120,000 cushion
grand.
And ended up at $1,800. Meaning we spent 118.2 of that. That's a lot more than 60. And that if that was your bet from the beginning, now you are 58 something in the hole. And you think if you do your first flip and you're $58,000 in the hole, you're going to be like, let's go do this again. You're probably figuring out.
Hey, let's before I know we're going to wrap this up, Kyle, but you know what I want to do? I want to wind this back to the beginning of the process.
What are you going to buy this for?
We are looking at a deal. We're a new investor. We're getting excited and we're looking at the numbers. 200,000. You're going to sell this house to me for 200,000. Okay. And I can make 320 on it. That's $120,000. Let's go through the motions right now and the thoughts as somebody's thinking. And then maybe they try to be really smart and they try to think of things like we're doing, right? And they said, well, I'm going to have holding costs and utilities. So what can that possibly be? I don't know. It can't be that much. I got 120 grand. And my repairs, I can't spend anywhere near 120 grand. This is a slam dunk deal. Do you see my point? Like,
I do.
It seems like there's no way you could spend anywhere near 120 on the repairs and to hold this thing for a few months. But in reality,
but we're showing that you
look
can,
how you did.
and your backups, right? So like, never have one game plan, right? The game plan of selling it for 320 is, I mean, some people do, but like,
when the market tanked, you overshot it.
So the best backup in the world is something we talk about all the time. Rent it out, right? So what do you do when you rent it out to get out of this deal? You have to do a cash out refinance. That's another way out. We've talked about the BRRRR strategy. This is involved in the BRRRR strategy. The number there is 256. 256 is 80% of that 320 ARV. You can only do a cash out up to 80%. 80% of value. So 256 should be your bottom line number. Like this, it's a good way of looking at these, because then if at the end of the day you've only ended the deal for 256, you can cash out the entire 256, and now you got a freshly renovated house and a mortgage on it that you can rent it out and make money on rent. It's a way out. It's an exit strategy.
Good point.
Good point. That's our number. That's what we use. If at the end of the day, it's if our cost into it is more than, and all these exit costs should tell you something, right? You can go back and take out what you pay the agent, the survey, the closing. You can take out those last couple items to get there, because you're not closing on it again, right? So,
and you don't know that you're closing at 320.
No, you don't.
You don't know how that decision was made. You don't know who made it and what they based it on. You don't know if you renovated it properly or over renovated it for the neighborhood. There are all kinds of factors in what you're actually going to sell it for.
And markets can't change very much in 4 months. They just can't. It just doesn't happen. What's that company again? Zillow, right? They know everything, right? Oh yeah, they lost billions
in 4 months.
In 4 months,
they came into DFW and they were out of DFW in less than 4 months.
They lost billions because of 4 months, because it takes during that renovation time. So they don't even do this anymore. Zillow
they got out of the
flipping
business
because of market changes, right? So there's all these factors, right? And have some. Even in changing markets, flips are best done in low to median income house ranges, because those are the houses that are going to be purchased regardless of the market, right? So I'd say best. I'm more confidently. Best could be measured by the amount of money people get by flipping these luxury houses.
Yeah,
which
you can do luxury houses. You just get more holding costs, right? So, but
risk reward, baby. It's all risk reward.
It's all risk reward, exactly. So I think this sounds like this. I think we've painted this a little bit as a discouragement, maybe, and when we're really just trying to be real with you, and so that people, as they're evaluating whether they want to do this, they need to understand what they're evaluating properly, so that they don't get to the end and wind up with $1,800. If they're lucky, they wind up with $1,800.
Well, I mean, This tells you, these are just numbers to look at, right? So you still want this house. I just gave you the number, 256, right? So at 256, if it's going to cost us 118, what do we offer them? Let's see.
Kyle's doing some calculating over here.
138, 140. You don't pay more than that.
That's your number. You got to figure out what your number is, figure out your strategy, figure out where your number is, and stick to it. And if a seller can't sell to you at that property, at that number, and there's a whole bunch of other people lined up ready to buy it, then let them buy it. It's okay. That doesn't need to be your problem because it sounds like a great project and it looks like a good deal in a good location, and that doesn't matter. This is what matters. The amount of time and effort you put into it for the reward is what matters.
We didn't jump above that 200,000 and show you what the wholesaler's making either.
Oh my gosh, that'll really make you mad.
The wholesaler's probably got a contract at 138.
Yep. Yeah, that'll really make you mad. And then you find out at closing that he made 50 grand and you made 1,800. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, flipping contracts is a whole different game. So we love it. Those flipping costs, we are here to educate. We are here to help. Give us a call, 817-818-9039, or shoot us an email at showmethemoney if you want more information on those flipping costs. We will be happy to send you an exact screenshot / printout / email or whatever you want of the numbers that we just discussed. If you want to listen to this podcast as you stare at those numbers, shoot us an email. It's extremely helpful. Use them to cheat in your own analysis or whatever you want to do. And thank you for tuning in. Me and John are out.